Candace Owens read an open letter on her show to Erica Kirk, wherein she delivered on the final piece. And you'll understand what that means here in a second. And that goes down as a major knockout blow to Erica Kirk and Turning Point USA. I have to admit, I owe Candace an apology for being impatient. This was a months-long game that she was playing. And in order to understand what is going on here, we need to go back to the beginning of December. I want you guys to remember this. I received information last night that put the final pieces together for me. I can now say with full confidence that I believe Charlie Kirk was betrayed by the leadership of Turning Point USA and some of the very people who eulogized him on stage. Yes, I will be naming names and providing evidence for my claims. And I am making a personal plea to every well-meaning person who donated to this godforsaken organization to request a refund. You were lied to, and leadership knew.
But it was actually a tip that I received early on that pulled everything together for me in a really dark way. It was water cooler talk at Turning Point USA immediately after Charlie's assassination. A few people had signified and were speculating and thinking about things that were weird. And, you know, I told you we had so many people from Turning Point USA that were just venting in our tip box and telling us that they didn't like the way management was acting and things were weird. And there were just a flurry of things that were coming in. And a few of them had signified that one of the things that was being whispered about that people thought was quite odd that they learned that happened on the day of Charlie's assassination was a rumor pertaining to Justin Strife. An oddly placed phone call that he made almost immediately, as they say, this is alleged, it wasn't on the phone call, after Charlie was shot. And I will say allegedly because there's 6 people at Turning Point USA who have said this, that were talking about this. This rumor got passed around. They said that Justin had placed an immediate call to a donor prospect. And I said, that's weird, okay? I'd like to know more about that. Can everybody try to figure out what donor that was? Now, it's possible it could have just been a very close donor friend. Charlie had them. He did. There were some donors that he loved like family members. And so that was a potential long shot thing, but just interesting. I'd like to know who he was so close to that required an immediate call. Then it turns out that these ladies told me that this donor actually had a pretty big piece of bait on the hook for Turning Point USA, a piece of their billion-dollar company. They were anticipating some IPO and that this was going to be life-changing money, okay? We're not talking like, oh, a check that's going to be reeled in for $5 million or $10 million or $50 million or like the $90 million that Turning Point USA raised in the first couple of weeks following Charlie's assassination. We are talking like billionaire money, potentially billions of dollars. And this was a very big secret, a huge secret. Just a handful of people were allowed to even know about this, that this was happening. In fact, there's probably people that are watching this right now at Turning Point USA who work in donations. I think it's a pretty large department that have no idea, have never even heard of this because that's how incredibly top level secret this was, okay? But people began to find out about this because of just an unfortunate conversation that had been left unattended to, okay? Now, why was the secret supposed to be so guarded? Why is this person getting a phone call? I wanted to know. I wanted to know more. And I start messaging our mommy sleuths and our daddy sleuths and all of my sources at Turning Point USA. And I'm saying anything that you can tell me about this in case this might be important. And I got an answer on the name of a donor and I had completely forgotten because, again, this happened so early following the assassination. I am talking before I even went to Wyoming. My brain was still traumatized. I had so much information that I was trying to process while I was grieving that I literally forgot the big part that I learned about this donor. I forgot. And these young women told me that this donor was French American and that this donor's name was Pierre.
Okay. So just so we're clear, we have 6 witnesses stating that they observed Turning Point USA Chief Operating Officer Justin Strife, hired by Charlie Kirk, if you remember, to be the COO and the chief development officer for Turning Point USA. He is in charge of all events, development, donor relations, and he was the one appointed to lead Charlie's Doge effort, which has since been canceled. Now, Candace met with Erica Kirk, and about a week and a half after this post that you just saw, this episode, and that post on X, she mentioned this post specifically, and that Erica and Turning Point USA did not like it and had such a hard time with it because she called Turning Point USA a godforsaken organization and told everyone to stop giving them their money. Candace admitted after the meeting that she got a little heated and that she took that post too far. Candace also revealed that Justin Strife was at this meeting with Erica as well, and that she made clear to both Erica and Justin who at Turning Point USA should not be trusted. I was left like, what? Hold on. What about Justin Strife himself? What he didn't tell us from the meeting is that Candace, did ask Justin Strife about Pierre. And Justin said that he didn't know who Pierre was. Well, Candace was making a months-long play, and she got verifiable proof in writing that both Erica and Justin Strife lied to her in that meeting about Pierre. Listen to this, then we're going to go back in time again to talk about who Pierre is. And that's where things are going to get crazy.
I now have verifiable proof in writing that Justin Strife and you lied to me. You know exactly who Pierre is. Why did Justin Strife say that he had never heard of Pierre? It's crazy. Justin, why would you do that? Justin, you know him. You've met with him. You've personally met with Pierre. Erica, you've met with him in the wake of Charlie's death. I have, again, verifiable proof. So you can call your lawyers. You can spend another $1 billion on PR if you want to. Tell your lawyer to call my lawyer. I mean, you guys certainly have the money to do all of these things. It's not going to wipe away the truth. Okay. The truth is that there was a deal on the table with Pierre, who, yes, is from France, born in France. And that deal was worth billions, not millions, billions, plural, billions of dollars. Just after Charlie was shot, and again, I have proof, Pierre had a phone call with Justin Strife. He also had a phone call with Mr. Don Orico of Turning Point USA down in Tampa. And you know what's really odd? Somehow this Frenchman, Pierre, he knew that Charlie was dead before the rest of the world did. How did he know that? How did he know before I knew? Especially because he wasn't yet a donor to Turning Point USA. Why was he given so much priority? Frenchman. I'm interested. I know that after Charlie died, that deal went through. Yeah. I mean, if I'm lying, this would definitely fall within the category of defamation. So, yeah, I'm all in on this one.
So that last line right there, Candace has a lot on the line here. Okay, we know that she is she's under cease and desist from Turning Point USA. She is operating under a non-disparagement clause. So we know she's going out on a limb here. She has a lot to lose. It makes me trust her even more when it comes to this stuff. But Turning Point USA is trying very hard to root out the whistleblowers. That's definitely not working too well. Likely, and this is just speculation on my part, I think there's more than just a few people at Turning Point USA who want the full truth about what happened to Charlie Kirk. I do not think that they can root out all of these people. I think that's impossible. Those 6 witnesses and their testimony has now turned out to be written proof that Justin Strife not only spoke with this big donor Pierre in a suspicious manner immediately after Charlie was shot. We didn't know he was killed yet. You might have noticed, very interesting that this donor knew that Charlie died before everybody else did. But Justin Strife also met with him in person. And the deal that was on the table went through after Charlie was killed.